Let's talk about how do we find the domain of a rational function. So taking a look at the rational function that we have here, in order to find the domain of a rational function, you want to set the denominator equal to 0 and solve. Your solutions are restricted values. It's what you do not want part of your domain. So first things first, take our denominator, set it equal to 0 and solve. So this is a quadratic equation, but we're able to solve this using the square root property. Move your number over to the other side, get your squared term by itself, so we can just add 1 to the other side to get x squared is equal to a 1. Take the square root of each side, square root and the square cancel, and you're left with x is equal to a plus or minus 1. So just to give you a visual of what we're working with here, when we're talking about the domain of a function, we're talking about the span of all the x values for that function. So we just solved here and we got a -1 and a 1. That means that these are our restricted values. So kind of think of it as having holes at those spots there. We cannot have a 1 and a -1 part of our function. It would make our denominator equal 0. We don't want the denominator to be 0. That is undefined. So our domain is everything except for these two numbers here. Now, domain is always written in interval notation. So interval notation for this, we are talking about coming from -infinity until -1. We want to skip -1, all right? So we're going to skip over to the other side of -1, and we want -1 to a +1. And again, we're going to skip over the 1 over here on the other side. So union 1 all the way to a positive infinity. And that would represent the domain of this function.